my experts on the panel, my dear friends. When I first introduced myself to Mr. Qureshi saying, I am Father Augustine, she said, Father, you look like a son, he said. And I was speaking to Professor Arun here, you were saying, it's an honor that I share the dais with you guys, because the legends who are here. And what skill that I'm going to use today is the skill of observation. I'm going to learn from you. You're experts in this field, and I'm just a novice, just beginning in the Department of Social Work. But at the same time, I was told the PG students will participate for this, so that the upcoming Karnataka election, as well as the electoral reforms, will be told to them. I'm going to speak directly to the students who are here, especially my own students of the Department of Social Work and the political science students who are here. See, with the election, corruption begins. With the election, crime begins. With the election, communalism and casteism begins. I think it's beautifully said, if you don't believe in constitution ideals, you don't believe in secularism. If you don't believe in secularism, you don't believe in some democracy. And if you don't believe in democracy, free and fair elections are not possible at all. That's why Sitaram Echari would say the four important C's, the C in election. The first C is corruption. The second C is crime. And the third C is communalism. And the fourth C is casteism. Corruption, if at all, to make it simplified for my students, if at all I ask for a ticket from Bangalore, I go to one of the big political party and ask them, then I will have to pay to that party n number of crores of money to get the ticket. I don't know, the n number of crores of rupees that I got to pay. Then after this, I had to do advertisements. I had to do banners. I had to do fluxes. I had to do paid newses to the news and this. And I had to give freebies to all the members of the constituency so that they vote for me. iPhone, iPad, laptops, mobile phones. And I'm spending in a huge sum of money for my election. And at the end of the day, I submit the cap that is stated by the Election Commission and submit the total expenses. But the other expenses that I have not shown in the book, what will I do with it? And at least individual person has got an upper limit, but a political party doesn't have an upper limit. You know, I stand for election, star campaigners come from different places. Rahul Gandhi flies down, Amit Shah flies down, Modi ji flies down. They are star campaigners whose expenses belong to the political party. And there is no upper limit for the political party's expenses. The expenditure of the individual candidates has been curbed by the Election Commission, but there is no upper limit for the expenditure that is done by the political party. I think it's a serious crime, in my opinion, that people in political party have no responsibility towards cash that they use. So it's pretty sure if some of us who are going into election process are pushed towards corruption. Today with the finance minister doubling the salary of members of parliament, I think earlier they were receiving about 30-40 lakhs per year. And the expenses they had is 100 crores for that election. I think the very structural changes towards elections are what we want to recommend today. Because we are pushing our candidates towards corruption. We are pushing our candidates to take back what they have spent. We are pushing our candidates also to do illegal activities because the magnitude of the expenditure that they have to put in towards election. That's what I was proposing is, there must be a structural change in order that the expenditure for an election is drastically reduced through various means. I know to conduct a rally today or a program today is impossible. And openly people begin to ask. Kamal Hassan, when he launched his new party, there was a question addressed to him, how much will you give for a vote? And in front of the big crowd that gathered, he just showed like that, 0. I will not give you anything for your vote, but I will empower you. I will empower your family. Because the huge expenses, we are pushing our candidate into corruption today. And the second important aspect also is giving tickets to people who have criminal background. Is, filing of charges is one, and framing of charges is another. Anybody can file a charge against you, file an FIR against you. But when you say framing of charges, it is said a judicial mind is applied in framing of charges. You go in front of the magistrate, and magistrate show the evidence. They say the prima facie which is there, and they tell, yes, this guy can be framed for the charge that is charged with. But only convicted members of parliament, convicted members of MLA, but legislative assembly will be disqualified. What are the people who are framed with the charges? And he said our parliament has had about 53 people who have got heinous crimes against them. Kidnapping, murder, rape. And when you allow criminals to enter into electoral, when you allow them to enter into our electoral system, I am pretty sure you are not going to reduce corruption. You are not going to reduce the negativity that is taking place. So we want to make a strong recommendation. Not only the individual person be barred from contesting election, not only the individual person be disqualified, maybe if the political party is giving tickets to the criminals or people with a criminal background, even the political party could be suspended. That's where we speak about empower election commission to suspend political parties who are giving tickets openly to people with a criminal background. The election commission does not have the power. And there are about, Qureshi sir in one of his speeches might have said, there are about 1,200 parties registered. And they are not active, 1,200? 2,000 now. 2,000 parties are registered, and roughly about 150 parties are very active today. And rest of the parties are not active. Does the election commission have the authority to de-recognize them? Say that you are not political party anymore. Because he just spoke about this money laundering that's been put in. I think number of candidates in the election fray are not serious candidates. Yesterday I read a news item which said, there is a guy who contested 86 times and lost all the times. I felt so angry because if you are not a serious candidate, why the hell do you go into the fray? Because you are wasting the money, the time of the election commission, the people here. And he has got Guinness record, he said that 86 times he lost. And I felt really, if I can meet him in person, I would give a peace of mind, I thought. I think that's what today we want. Electoral system that's free of criminals, people with a criminal background. I think that is a strong recommendation. And I think election commission has to be empowered. If the party is given, charges whenever they tell you, they are frivolous charges that are made against us. The charges are politically motivated. There was a minister who was charged with the kidnapping. He comes and says, I have nothing to do with that. I don't know that person, not seen. Even though he's framed with that charges. So if we are not going to remove people with a criminal background or disqualify them, people who have been framed with the charges, I think our electoral system will always have a lacunae. And today I think somebody sends a WhatsApp video asking that we will remove the word secular from our constitution. People openly threatening the other party because we are in power or have the power and we can do whatever we want. I think it's a serious lacuna in our electoral system. That's why the four things. First is the corruption. Are we pushing, is our structure pushing candidates to get into corruption? Secondly, are we giving tickets to people who are framed with heinous charges? is a political party taking responsibility, saying that we will not give tickets to people with a criminal background. And they will say, I think the Prime Minister himself said, the cases against MPs and MLAs will be expedited. It will go on day-to-day basis. Every day the hearing will take place. But in one of the states, 50% of seats are given to people with criminal background. You say that we don't want to have criminal background MPs and MLAs, but the other hand, you give in a state 50% of the tickets are given to people with a criminal background. So there is no accountability from a political party. And somebody was saying, from the time of the notification till the time of the results, you have to submit your expenditure. And the only two parties they are not submitted is, one is BJP, other one is Congress. The bigger parties don't feel the responsibility towards accountability. The bigger parties don't feel the responsibility towards transparency. They emphasize on, I think the election is the means to serve people. Election has become the end. I prepare myself, I'll give freebies to everybody, get my votes, and I go back. I think that's a serious recommendation that from the panel that we will give it to the respected panel members here is empower Election Commission. Disqualify people who are framed with heinous and serious charges, which can be punishable up to 3 to 5 years. And also don't push our candidates in order to get into corruption due to the magnitude of expenditure in the election processes. And also, when I was speaking about empowering of the Election Commission, we also speak about the other issues, what ma'am was speaking about, the proportional representation, because certain voices are muted in our society. I think these are the few concerns. We are running short of time. There are a number of points I would like to talk, but corruption, crimes, communalization, and the last is casteism. If these are going to be a part and parcel of election process, our election process will never be fair and never be free. So I wish this panel, these recommendations can be taken to the higher ups, whereas deliberations can be made with the students, that we come up with a better policies towards better and free elections. Thank you for this opportunity.